Hey, Scott here from whattype.com, and in this video I'm going to open a bit of a can of worms. This is something that I think is important, and I think that this is a question that in one form or another has probably kind of crossed all of our minds, and I think it's a question that's difficult to arrive at a satisfying answer to, I think, for a lot of us. And this is the question of whether or not it is objectively better to be an extrovert or an introvert. So my philosophy around this, was first instilled in me by my first mentor in type, Giovanni Cavalieri, and then, further reinforced through my training with Antonia Dodge and Cameron Huff. And I know this is still at the center of the philosophy for Personality Hacker, and this is something that I wholeheartedly subscribe to. And that is the notion and the understanding that it is not objectively better to be one type versus any other type. And it's all strictly context dependent. Some types are going to be better suited for certain things, but every type has something that they are going to be well suited for. And that thing that they're well suited for is every bit as important as any other. That's not equally rewarded economically, which I think creates a bit of an illusion. But in terms of looking at life holistically, that is, from my perspective, how the whole thing works. So I think this perception that it is somehow better to be an extrovert than an introvert points to a cultural problem, and I think a temporary problem. So one way to look at this is that our economy is based on consumption. So this is, a whole other big can of worms. But long story short, the economy needs people to continue buying things. So looking at the difference on a very general level between introverts and extroverts, introverts are going to be more reflective. Extroverts are going to be more action-oriented. In the context of this kind of economy, there's going to be some favoring towards extroversion. This is not in any way a dig on extroverts. It's just kind of meta to the whole thing. There's more of a push towards extroversion, to action, to being out there, to not, to carefully consider. So, that can create a perception that it is favored to be an extrovert. But the important thing to realize is that any appearance of it to be somehow better to be one type or another is either an illusion, or it's just specifically in that context, or it points to a cultural problem. It is never a problem of the individual where you are the wrong type. I don't think that is a useful way to think about it, and I don't think that's what's happening in objective reality. I think we're coming from a world that is still very much rooted in the Industrial Revolution, where for many people the most important thing they can contribute to the economy is the ability to execute repetitive tasks, to do things like operate machines or work in coal mines, more modern versions of that, where nobody really cares what your type is. They just need you to produce output. But I think as we kind of, outgrow that economic model, I think the kind of guiding light to where we're headed is going to be our type. I think there's a natural yearning for us all to do what we are built to do. As I mentioned, every type has things that are just in their wheelhouse, and those are the kinds of things that I think we are really kind of called to do. And I think for each of us, this is becoming more and more plausible. This is changing right now. 150 years ago, you may have been working in a coal mine and then just kind of had this inclination that you were, really, built for a different time and place where, you could, be a you could help other people somehow. Nowadays you can just set up a business and become a coach. It's not it's not easy, but it's plausible. And a lot more things like that are plausible. If you want to start your own business, you can give it a shot, and it's still not easy, and there's a long ways to go, but this is changing, and I think in the future it's going to be more naturally harmonious, and there won't really be any question of whether it's better to be one or the other. So my answer to the whole thing is that it is not better to be an extrovert than it is to be an introvert, and any perception of such points to a cultural problem that is really only temporary. I think the kind of deeper reality to the whole thing is that both are important and necessary, and there's a natural balance to all of this. So if you're trying to figure out if you are an introvert or an extrovert, or what your type is, and you'd like some help, you can learn about Skype sessions at whattype.com/mytype. And if you're interested in lessons on personality profiling, being able to tell what type people are in different contexts, you can go to whattype.com/lessons. If you have any thoughts or opinions or experiences or feelings that you'd like to share on this, then please do so in the comment section, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say. If you like this kind of discussion about type, kind of digging in and wrestling with all the different elements of it and going down the rabbit hole, then don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.